the actual tones of the ashes give this bring like different. Even if you want to, let's say, paint dark color, you will get different kinds of dark gray as you paint because some parts have more ashes or less ashes. So it brings a kind of organic side to it, like a certain natural imperfection, let's say, which is very beautiful. And to what we know, talking with the collective of Scenes of the Floresta, once it dries, it kind of shines a bit.
Yeah, yeah. So also the difference between the ashes is probably because the ashes are from different trees and from different regions of the Amazon as it's going up in flames. Yeah.
Yes, they told us that they've got like the darker ashes are from the outskirts of the Amazons, and the lighter, darker ashes are from the inner side of the Amazons, and they need to dig into the ashes to find the different tones. And they are all brought by the brigades to the collective. The actual fire brigades are the one collecting the seeds to bring it to Cintas.
Yeah, this is amazing. And you know that in ancient times, when there was an indigenous civilization in the Amazon that actually created the Amazon as it was before it was destroyed, during the course of probably 10,000 years, the Amazon was a garden being created and planted by the people. And these people had developed a technology by which, by inserting ashes into the soil, and perhaps other forms of compost, they created the most fertile earth that ever was created. You know, and it was all created by the intelligence of the indigenous people of Brazil. You know, the terra preta, they called it when it was discovered, that this is what made the forest become a giant.
The terra preta. Okay.
Terra preta, yeah. And it has not been able, science today has not been able to recreate the exact formula they had, because it was a sort of fertilizing compost that recreated itself and renewed itself continually without human intervention once it was buried in the land. And so it is very, how can I say, incredible gesture to paint this painting, which is crying for the earth with ashes, which was the key element to the regeneration of the forest. So we can pray that by painting Tara's tears with ashes, we can reflect on the fact that we're bringing all forests of this planet to their end. And from these ashes, we have the possibility of recreating life and beauty on this earth, if we collectively decide to do that. That decision has not yet taken place, and the more time we take to wake up to the need to regenerate this earth, the more suffering there will be. So I think that's the prayer that Tara, the mother of compassion, is doing for us. That was my thought when I first painted that image, which was a few years ago. And since then, I have done probably 4 versions of it. And even now in my studio in New York, I'm creating the 5th version, and you are creating one. So it's like this eye with a tear for the earth keeps multiplying. Is there a place where people can read the story of Tara's tears when they come to the memorial?
So, as Cecilia, we are also so grateful that you trusted us with this process. We believe that we are trying to do something planetary on many levels, you know, so we are very grateful for your openness to that. As for the text, you remember I have sent you your beautiful words, which are like extracts from your poems and what I have listened to your different speeches. Also some words from Coco, but majority from you. So that would be our main textual input. But on our website or any other, of course, we are open for more references. If you have any more wishes or even to put a books downstairs or something like this, please guide us in that and we will edit. So, you know, this memorial is visited by thousands and thousands of people, especially in the summer. So the exposure of this eye will be huge. It will be truly a new eye for the city. So there will be a first register of a meeting with the artwork. And then, of course, for those who want to go deeper, we can redirect them a little bit more into more materials.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Yes, I think my writing about the Tarastier when it was born and so forth, I would like for that to be included, certainly.
But have you written, is there an available text about what you're saying about the Tarastiers?
Yes, of course, but I don't think we had a communication about whether that text existed, or perhaps I didn't think of telling you, but that all my paintings have a text that I write about them, all of them. I have done that since the 70s because the paintings are a manifestation of poetry in truth, and the images are really poetic images, and so is Tarastier. I think I first painted it, let's see, what year would that be? I think the first place where it was exhibited was in Seoul, Korea. I can't remember the date of that exhibition. We can find out. Yeah.
Wonderful. We will ask Loa to help us with this. And yes, I was also struck, Cecilia, we were struck by your words that the universe is feminist. Could you tell us a little bit more about this? Like, what do you mean by the universe is feminist?
Well, if we learn from animals, practically in all animal species, it is the female that chooses her partner. And it is like the feminine side of living creatures is in charge of evolution, is in charge of what we're going to transmit to the next generations. And we were always told that when it comes to human fertilization, it was the sperm that chose, that had to battle the other sperms, the spermatozoids, how you call it in English? The
Spermatozoid and the others. And
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the spermatozoid is struggling with the others in competition to reach the egg. And it turns out that that's a male fantasy, because in truth, it is the egg, the female egg, that chooses which of all those swimming spermatozoids is the one that she wants. And now we know that when human embryos take hold, they are all female for the first few weeks. And it is only after a few weeks that the instruction in the DNA decides that some of them will be male. We also know that there are two separate DNAs, the DNA on the female line and the DNA on the male line. The DNA on the female line, in terms of humans, has remained unchanged for 200,000 years. Instead, the DNA of the male line cannot regenerate itself. It dies and has to be recreated. It continues to die until now science is theorizing that it may go extinct. So when you think of that, it's like the universe is somehow oriented to the preservation of life. And it is the female side that is in charge of the preservation of life. So that's what I mean. And I'm not the only one, of course, that is saying the universe wants to live, wants life. And we, the female line holders, are given this responsibility. And so it is for us, women, and especially for the young girls, to come up to this realization, because otherwise we're headed towards extinction as a species. And that's the way it looks now. And it's high time for humanity to decide, do we want to continue to exist on this planet or not? So far, all the signs are saying, we don't even want to know that this is the case. So your gesture, what you are doing with the memorial, is a strong indication that there are lots of us who love this planet and love being human, and we would love for humanity to go on. And that's what art and poetry are here for, to show us that it's only through infinite love for this earth and for each other, that will allow for us to go on.
It's a balsam for our ears to listen to you. And you were also often saying that one of the areas where you work is poetry and architecture. And in some way, we try to embody now this magnified one of your paintings on the architecture. And one of other words of yours that really struck me was that I think I found, thanks to your words for understanding this, is that when you say that art has an awareness that allows us to feel the awareness of not yet. Could you tell us a little bit more about this and not yet feeling that art can signal to us?
Yeah, well, I wrote that in 1971, that my art was about to happen. In other words, the feeling that something is about to happen is the creative force. The creative force is a sort of autonomous, independent field, and we are part of it. It's not something that is ours properly, or in the individualistic way that Western culture wants to think, like, I am creating something. I don't feel it's that way. I think there is a creative force that animates the universe and every living thing. This desire, this need to create, to discover, to find new ways. And suddenly we feel that in us. And that is the feeling of anticipation that is about to happen. In that moment, we become electrified, as if it were like you feel a new wind. You feel a new ray of sun. You feel a physical sensation of, how can I say, it's like you have this new kind of energy. You perceive it, you feel it, and you don't know exactly what it's going to do, but you know you have to be at the service of that. Like, for example, this morning, I was just up. I hadn't even drank a glass of water, and suddenly, boom, this begins to happen. I'm getting very cold. I'm still in my pajamas, but I have to write something that is coming. And that's what existence is like for me. And if you look at living organisms, like microorganisms, and I saw once a film taken by a scientist. I believe this was in Israel, and that the scientist was doing a video of a petri dish where these microorganisms are, as doing their thing, bacteria. And suddenly they sense, they anticipate that an enemy bacteria is coming. And before this new bacteria arrives, they assemble and change position in defense. So I saw that, and my hair stands on end as I tell you that. So this anticipatory quality of microorganisms is exactly the same I feel when a poem is coming. You see? So this anticipatory feeling of human beings, it has been discovered that in ancient times, we human beings could anticipate threats to our safety, threat to an environment, threat to the family, threat to the nation, and that now most human beings have lost it, and some women still have the capacity to anticipate threat and danger. So it's again, like we were saying before, we have had that capacity, and we need to recover that capacity to anticipate what's going to happen next, because we need to prepare.
This actually feeling makes me think about giving birth. That's what I remember when I was giving birth. It's coming and you cannot do anything about it. It's like a very powerful force that goes through you, right? So it's...
What a wonderful thing that you associate both. My mother says that. My mother says, I hear a little bell when she's going to give birth. But it's not a real bell, but I hear it.
Right. Yes, Cecilia, would you have maybe something to share with our audiences and visitors who come there to see art, but also those who come and meet art by complete accident, as we say sometimes, unrehearsed encounters. And our role also in City Curator program is actually to provoke these unrehearsed encounters. And I guess your beautiful Tara Tears Eye would be one of these big encounters this summer. What would you share to people who will come and encounter your art in Hamburg?
I would love to be in their shoes, wondering what the heck this is. What can this be? I love this sense of not knowing what this is. And in a way, I envy it, because it's only through not knowing that we can access other forms of knowing, other forms of sensing, feeling, thinking. We have to be open to that and respect it, because if it is derided, it's like a delicate force, the curiosity and the wanting to know, the wanting to feel what is that. And I hope the memorial with this big eye, that it really looks like the third eye of the monument that was destroyed, is like the third eye of the destruction, is the third eye of the bombing that the city endured. And it is a miracle that this tower has been preserved, and another miracle that you thought of putting that are still there.
Joanna, if you allow me, can you, Cecilia, one of the first times we talked, you brought up this dream that you had as a child of the sea on fire.
Of
you
the
remember?
Oh, yeah, the sea on fire, yeah. Yes.
Can you tell us about that dream again? It was a dream,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it was a dream. Yeah, I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and I was living in Santiago, and suddenly there was a big earthquake, very big earthquake in Chile. And I was so terrified, and I went to sleep. And in my sleep, this was after the earthquake, I saw this image that the sea was on fire and that people were so terrified that the terror of seeing the sea on fire killed people, because in this state of fear, people didn't know how to act or how to protect themselves anymore. And so I woke up with this understanding that this was not a dream, that this was something that was actually going to happen, and that I had to train myself to be in fear without fear of fear. And so I started to create different methods by which in my play I would, for example, do crazy things like ride my bicycle with my eyes closed, to feel like the wheels were sensing and touching the pavement, and things of that sort. The training not to be sort of damaged or stopped by fear. And many years go by, and then one day, when they started to exploit the oil, bringing fossil fuels out of the depth of the ocean, I saw the first film of the ocean on fire. This was, as you know, a few years ago, maybe 10, 20 years ago. And when I saw that the sea was on fire, I knew that the time had come for this horror to be unfolding, and made it more urgent than ever to speak in terms that would alert people to what is coming if we continue to play the indifferent role, the not non-caring role that we're taking now in this culture that idolizes selfishness and greed. So I created this film that is called Fire Over Water, which is the last hexagram of the I Ching, you know. And think of that, the I Ching was composed thousands of years ago. And the last hexagram oracle says fire over water. Fire over water may not necessarily be the end. It may be the end of one cycle and the rebirth of a completely new one. So let's go for the belief that it will be the birth of a new era of care for each other and the earth.
Fantastic. We exactly hope that too, with all these different signs that we are installing at the church, which deal with fire, and yet none of them presents flames, right? It's about another fire. Yes, and use and misuse of fire and domestication of fire. And also we have a work dealing with the book burning in the Nazi times. And in a beautiful way we bring those books back to the places where they were burned. So this, different ways of how humans could deal and build a relationship with fire as an element.
Thank you, Joanna, for thinking of this and curating all of us who we are like a band of birds that doesn't want for migrations to be done with. We want to migrate to another state of being human, to another way of existing on this earth. So thank you so much.